Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Araweelo Talks. Okay, and today Araweelo is talking to Jessie Clark. I am so happy to have him here in the studio with us because one, I have been eager to meet you. Okay, because I have not seen many men who are active in, discussing FGM or bringing awareness to it. So one, I want to say that I am honored to have you here today. Thank you so much for coming, and I can't wait. So would you like to tell everyone a little bit about you?
Yeah, thanks. It's an honor to be here, and I've been really eager to meet you as well. I think your story is really inspirational, but obviously we'll get into that.
Yes.
Yeah, my name's Jessie. I'm 28. I'm from a town called Hemel Hempstead in Hertfordshire, just north of London. And skipping to the part where I kind of first went to Africa, I guess, was about 3 years ago, properly as an adult. I've always loved Africa since I was a kid. And then as I got older and wiser and learnt about specific issues like FGM and child marriage, just the type of person I am, I couldn't live with myself knowing that I know about these things that are happening and I'm not doing anything to fight against it. So, I got a one-way ticket to Malawi in 2020.
Oh, wow.
After losing my job to COVID. I had a really good job in the city. And then from there, I've had several stints out in Africa. Just got back a few weeks ago from 5 months in Tanzania, where the part of Tanzania that I was in, the Mara region, FGM is really bad. And especially right now, it's cutting season. So, yeah.
Can you explain to everyone who doesn't necessarily understand what cutting season is, or maybe a little bit about how Zimbabwe? Tanzania, sorry. Tell them a little bit about how Tanzania tends to practice it, because I know every country don't practice it the same. So in Somalia, for example, we don't have cutting seasons.
Yeah.
It's just done on random days whenever the person is available. So how does it happen? I'm curious.
Yeah, so I myself was really surprised to learn about cutting season. I thought it was like what you're describing in Somalia. On any given Wednesday, someone can be cut.
Yeah.
But no, it's it kind of the season changes all the time. And actually, my time out there just now, they kind of changed the whole game really, and because parts of the authority, like sections of the police, and I'll get onto that because a lot of the police are corrupt out there, but and parts of the police and people like me were really like crunching down on it hard. So the people practicing FGM changed their tactics and started cutting at times when we didn't think they would be. But essentially cutting season traditionally is just like I think it was happening every 2 years.
Wow.
And then, a circumciser would come to a village and like all the young girls would be kind of rounded up basically. And she would just get through
All of them?
Well, like, for example, maybe like 50 in one day, and then another day, another group of girls, another day, another group of girls. And then,
Bro, I was cut with just my sister and my cousin. And even though we were in a group, it was the most horrific thing to see someone else first go through this pain and then having to sit there and wait for when it's your turn. It's
I can't imagine
50 to like even 10 or 6 or 5. It's too much cutting in one day.
I know. I maybe they're just looking at it from a kind of convenience point of view. I don't know, but like I said, it's changing all the time now, and they're trying to use the element of surprise and do it at random times so that the authorities and people like myself don't know when they're doing it.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So how do you cope with the pressure of not knowing, and when you do find out, what happens?
that's become one of the most popular questions I get asked, actually, like on TikTok. How do I cope? Most people ask, how do I cope mentally, just being out there and all these things, but you've kind of asked it in a more specific way. What happens really is the safe house that I was spending most of my time at, which is run by a local organization. We have what we call volunteers, but really they're like spies. We have spies in these villages who are just ordinary people, and they do what a spy should do, and they just gather intel.
So smart.
Yeah, and they just listen into all the gossip that's going on in the village. They're just like normal middle-aged women or anyone, and they find out all of this information about which families want to cut their girls and which girls are going to be married off to older men, and they basically just report back to us at the safe house, and then the sections of the police that we trust, we get in touch with straight away, and we go out and get the girls.
How do you think, or from your experience, how have they found, or how do they view the whole cutting?
Who's they?
As in the young girls who...
I mean, the girls that are old enough. So when I say old enough, I mean like older than 7.
Okay.
So like 8, 9, 10. They hopefully have become educated on it.
Yeah.
So all of the girls at the safe house that have been rescued, they all get the FGM education like rammed down their throat, not every day, but like all the time.
That's great.
So they're well aware of the side effects and the what can come from it.
Yeah.
But no doubt there are thousands of young girls in the villages who could be any age, but who maybe aren't going to school, and they're just suffering from a real lack of education.
Yeah.
So they may well be thinking, oh yeah, like FGM is good, I'm going to become a woman.
That was me, because I didn't go to school.
Really?
No, I was 6. I used to farm and collect water, and we even built a house, which was amazing, using cow poo. So it was our job to go collect that.
Yeah.
And even though we were children, we had a free life, having to play outside and with animals and with siblings. It's an amazing feeling. It's something I enjoy when I think back to my childhood. But in terms of the FGM, everybody in the village spoke about it as if it was this amazing thing, and it was like getting your ears pierced. And we were that excited until we were met with the reality of what it was, and we're like, nope, I legged it. Ran.
And did you have a big ceremony when you were cut?
No, we were told that we were gonna get cut. We were brought to my grandma's house, excited, innocent. My sister was 7, I was 6, and my cousin was 5. The 5-year-old went first. And it was the moment I saw the hand grabbing. It's just simple, it's fast. They need to get it done, because obviously the cutter is there to do a job and leave and go to the next one. Yeah. So even with that one cutter, she might be cutting a lot of girls within that day, but they don't necessarily like pack it all. And I remember when my cousin was cut, the blood and everything, it was the most traumatizing experience, and I can envision it now. And as a young child screaming, they just put a cloth over your mouth. And the moment it was done, we had our legs tied together with a cloth put on the floor. And then the only ceremony, like, it was more of a ritual, and I find it really unusual, but they slaughtered an animal, and then they put the blood of that animal, they drained the blood, and then washed us, covered us from head to toe in that blood. Wow. And then a lot of Somali people are like, no, that doesn't really happen, but it happened to me. I don't know why it happened. I don't know whether it's because they thought this would cause less of a shock, because we were in shock. There was no anesthetics, there were no painkillers. It was just pure pain and very fast. So your body goes into shock. So I don't know why they did the blood ritual, but it was disgusting.
Maybe it's a practice within your clan.
Maybe.
Do you know which clan you're part of?
Yeah, I do. I don't like I don't like to say.
Which clan?
I hate mentioning my tribe.
Okay.
Because
well, don't mention it.
Yeah, I really don't, because especially with Somalia, they are all about
I know.
clans and tribes, and it's really toxic. I am proud of who I am as a Somali, point blank period. Other than that, I am my mother's daughter and my father's daughter. But tribes, they've never done me any good. They didn't save me from FGM, forced marriage, none of that. So I don't claim any tribe. I think that's just healthy. I think if you're in a country where they're proud of it and it's like manageable and everyone's respectful, fair enough. But with us, it's more we're better, you know.
Well, I'm reading Ayan Hirsi Ali's book at the moment, Infidel.
Okay.
And what you've described about your cutting experience is literally identical to how she describes it.
Yeah.
She was with two siblings, or a sister and her brother actually, and the brother went first, and the only part that is different is the blood of the animal. That didn't happen to Ayan Hirsi Ali, but I mean, I don't know if I think this is quite a commonly known statistic that 99% of Somali girls, like up until the age of 15, are all cut, right? Yeah. So it's a huge problem, not just in Somalia, but you know, across many countries in Africa and the Middle East. But in a country like Somalia, where
they got number one.
Where you know, I've never been, but I've spoken to Somali people, and I'm speaking to you now. I think the big problem is the fact that a huge percentage of that 99%, or rather I should say a huge percentage of the country don't see it as a problem.
No, they don't.
So that's kind of the first problem that needs to be tackled, I think.
It is very, very, very scary, because even when I speak to Somali women here and the FGM conversation is brought up, they are very defensive. Like, no, but it's not that bad. Why are you trying to vilify it? And I'm like, do you not remember the complications you went through? You might want to act as if, you know, you didn't go through anything. But I'm sorry, yes, you did.
Yeah.
And they have four types of FGM in Somalia.
Did you have type 3?
I had type 3, but that's the UK version. But the Somali version is completely different. So when I say FGM isn't just 4 types, I think there are more than just those 4 that we know here in the UK. So for example, type 1 is the prick. They have like a little needle and they prick it. So that's the first type, which is not as severe and is apparently considered sunnah, although Nabi Muhammad never practiced it. Okay, leave it alone. The second one is where they genuinely consider the clitoris as a woman's worst enemy and society's worst enemy. So they cut it off.
Yeah.
There is nowhere in religion to say cut a woman's bits. It just doesn't say anything. But that's what they, especially with Somalians, I can speak for my people, they genuinely believe that it's a religious practice. So that's the second one. And then the third one is where they cut the clitoris, the labia, and the labia majora. But in all of those types, you can still be sewn. Whether it's halfway, a little bit on top, you can still be sewn. And then Fir'aun, so we call it Fir'aun, Sunnah Kabir, Sunnah, which is not Sunnah, that's the one that is the cutting of the clitoris. And the one that's considered Sunnah is the prick. But Fir'aun is the ones that our parents had done, which meant they were violated not just on the outside, but also they went a bit further to like scrape everything. There was nothing.
Jesus Christ.
And it's to think that you went through that, the worst form in our country, and then to now turn around and do the same thing to us. And I was having a conversation with a Somali woman yesterday. And when I described my type, she said, that's actually Fir'aun. but I know that it's not. It's Sunnah Kabir, which is the higher, the higher Sunnah, you know, the bigger Sunnah. But even from the name, you can see it says Fir'aun. They named it after the country that is supposedly originated from at the times of pharaohs.
Right.
And they adapted it, and they kept the name.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's absolutely crazy. There is a transition. Until now, they say that, it's, you know, banned in Somalia. No, it's not. Otherwise, 99% of Somali women would not be circumcised or have had FGM.
Yeah, I think there's a huge element of societal pressure, right? Because, I mean, again, I'm going to refer to Ayan's book. She said that when she was kind of young in school, kintir means kintir means clitoris in Somali, right? So I don't know, I don't speak Somali, but I've picked this up from her book.
That's actually really good. I'm impressed.
Thanks. But anyway, she said she was in school and all the girls were making fun of her, calling her kintir. Yeah. So, the pressure from society and the shame, I know from experience in Tanzania, the shame that it brings a family if a girl is not cut, or if she runs away from the cutting and runs to us, to the safe house, the shame that family brings and that shame, I think, leads a lot of these parents to reject their daughters. They say, oh no, she's not my daughter anymore. So, I mean, tackling the problem, it needs to be tackled from so many angles. Yeah.
Society, parents. But I think one country that really took me by surprise was Sierra Leone, because I was told about a story, and it was a woman who was telling me her story, and she said she was never cut, but when she was younger, she lived with her grandma in Sierra Leone, and her grandma, like whenever it was cut in Sibunta, as they call it Bunda Bush, it's like a massive celebration. They buy the girls clothes and shoes and jewelry, and it's a group of them, so they don't feel so alone.
Yeah.
And I think they do that as a strategy, because if you think about it, it's to keep them calm so that they don't think nothing bad has happened to them. But she said that it wasn't just the parents. So even if the parent do not want their daughter to have this procedure, someone in the village will just take them and, you know, have that done to that child, because we're all, you know, living in the society together. Everyone needs to be cut type of thing.
It's that village mentality of, your kids are my kids and my kids are your kids, and everyone feels like they need to take responsibility. And it could even bring shame to the village. If another village finds out that in this village the girls don't get cut and they run away, it can bring shame to the village chief if there's a chiefdom.
What do you think that it can also be for finance, like finance reasons?
Oh, absolutely. In Tanzania, it's not the majority. So in Tanzania there are 120 tribes or more than 120. But 120 is the figure that sort of flies around. And most of the tribes don't practice FGM. So if you actually look at the statistics for FGM in Tanzania, it's nowhere near as high as countries like Somalia or Mali or Ethiopia. However, where I was in the Mara region, right by Lake Victoria, near the Kenyan border, the concentration of FGM is so high because it's where the Kuria tribe are. And also Maasai tribe. The Maasai are well known for practicing FGM as well. So within the Kuria tribe and the Maasai tribe, most of the men, and I've spoken to a lot of them, they won't marry a girl unless she's cut. And marriage is a business I'm going to probably get criticized for this, but in Africa.
It is. Yes, it is.
I'm not just going to say Tanzania, I'm going to broaden it to Africa, because I've spoken to many people from many different countries in Africa, Zambia, Zimbabwe, everywhere. And there's always a dowry that takes place for marriage. And I tell them, that's crazy. That means you're making marriage a business. And they say, no, it's not a business. It's just tradition. It's just tradition. And I say, but why is there a need to pay for the bride? And obviously their best answer is it's just tradition. But yeah, so if a girl is not cut, she won't get married, and therefore the parents won't receive 10, 15 cows for their daughter. So the parents feel like they have to cut their daughter in order to receive the dowry and get rich and start, having a large herd of cows to make money from.
That is absolutely crazy.
I know.
That is absolutely mad. But to be honest, I'm not surprised, because I think in Somalia it's quite similar. I know back in the day, but now the attitudes have changed a little in terms of the men. So back then, they would not, they do FGM to make a woman marriable, right? Yeah. So that men required their women to be like this. It was a requirement. So the parents, if they want a good husband for their daughters, then they resort to cutting her so that she stays pure, so that she doesn't lose her virginity before marriage. And now the men are saying, actually, we don't want a woman who's cut in a country where 99% of the women and young girls are cut.
Somali men are saying that.
Yeah. They're saying, wow. Yeah, we don't want, which is good, don't get me wrong. But now they are asking for the less severe. So they don't want type 3. So that they don't want women like me. They want more type 2 or type 1.
Yeah.
It's still just as bad.
I didn't know that. And that's a huge step in the right direction.
It is. Don't get me wrong. But they're still stuck on the other two, which are deemed more better.
Yeah.
Viewed by men.
But I think, a tradition that dates back for thousands of years, like even pre-Islam, for these men to be changing their minds about it in whatever way shows that they've got the ability to change their minds more.
Yes,
so
100%.
That's really good news. I didn't know that. That's really good news.
That's the one thing that, but it's not everyone. Like it makes me happy. Don't get me wrong, but it's a few. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
And I wish that it was every father, every brother, every husband, everyone. I just wish they just said no. That's like enough.
I met some Maasai people in Arusha in Tanzania, and in this one particular village, the young boys had received some sort of FGM education. They had changed their minds. They had said, it's not a must for us to marry a girl who's been cut now. They said they would marry a girl who is cut or isn't cut. They don't mind. So we've both seen in our kind of different countries that change is happening. Like you said, it's just a shame that it's not everybody. And the change, it's such a big thing to change. The change is never going to come overnight or in a short period of time. It needs a lot. It needs loads of conversations like this. It needs loads of people kind of going out there and helping to educate.
100%, because without education, we're not going to get anywhere, really. Because even as simple as telling a mom, if you do this to your daughter, it can cause infertility. Like, come on, what mother does not want grandbabies?
Yeah.
So she would have to rethink.
Yeah.
But if they don't have the education, or your daughter can die during birth, there's a higher risk of her hemorrhaging, or there's a higher risk of her tearing left, right, and center, or there's a risk where she has to have C-section rather than a natural birth. The period, imagine getting your period at such a young age, and it's already painful. I know you don't know what that feels like, but it's painful. Thankfully. But it's heightened by 1,000 when you've had FGM. I don't care what type you've had. It's up there when it comes to pain. And I'm happy that, more education is being given to the wider community, whether it's in the UK or in Africa. But do you think that there's enough education back home?
Here in England? Oh, back in Tanzania? No, definitely not. It's a huge problem, and although, like I said, it's only in kind of concentrated areas in the country, it's still those countries' citizens, and it's still thousands and thousands of people who are suffering from it. So I couldn't understand why the president, her name is Mama Samia, I can't understand why she's not talking about it. Nobody has seen her talk about it once. The previous president, Magufuli, who died, what year now? 2021, I think. He spoke about it. But yeah, you know, and I used to say to the girls, like, because nobody likes the current president in Tanzania, but they all said that if she came to their school or their town, then they would greet her and this and that. But maybe it was childish of me to say this, but I said, you know, I wouldn't shake her hand. I wouldn't bow down to her, because I see every day the suffering and the pain that FGM and child marriage causes. Yeah. And she, as the leader of the country, isn't talking about it. And I've spoken to some people in Tanzania, some kind of high up people in the government, who say, if you think this problem is just for the poor people in the villages, you are sadly mistaken. Yeah. Like, the highest of officials in the country are benefiting from child marriage or FGM, or they're putting their daughters through it.
100%.
Yeah. So I've mentioned a few times, like on kind of podcasts and things, that issues like this need to be tackled from various different angles. But the two main things are, in my opinion, the immediate action that needs to be taken, and that's someone like me who kicks a door down and pulls a girl out. And the second thing is education. Yeah. But I find that far too many people and far too many organizations are just concerned with the latter. They're just concerned with the educational part, and which is very important, but they neglect the actual action. Like, I know today girls are being cut. Right? I literally spoke to my friends in Tanzania yesterday. Girls are being cut today. And I'm not saying that I'm like the only person who can stop it and I'm this kind of superhero, because that's not the case at all. But I know for a fact that if I was there, I'd be doing something about it. And now that I'm not there, I don't know who is doing something about it. Yeah. You can't trust the police really as a whole, as an organization, because they're all so corrupt. So, you know, it infuriates me when I see huge organizations like the UN post like once every year on
they take the piss
on their Instagram. Yeah, like for zero. What's the day called? Zero Tolerance
Day.
Is it February 6th?
February the 6th. Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what? I'm writing a book at the moment. I've just been writing in my book. Why does it take me, just this random guy from Hemel Hempstead in Hertfordshire in England, to go there and fight against this? Why are presidents all around the world not talking about it? Why are the UN? Why did I not see the UN in all my time that I've been in Africa? Why did I not see them? Like, why are they not tackling the issue? Is it a case of out of sight, out of mind? Or
I think that's exactly what it is. Out of sight, out of mind.
Or it's in, or this is what out of sight, out of mind means, isn't it? But it's in the minds, and they just don't care enough. I'm kind of going off on a real rant.
No, you can, because I completely understand. I had a interview with UN refugee, and I told them my story, and they, I believe, featured it on their website. But in Somalia, I actually came across, because I wanted to see what work was being done in Somalia in dealing with FGM. That isn't necessarily a woman who's not only fighting for her life to stay in this country, but also women. It's very. Do you know how many social activists have been killed in Somalia just for talking about, rape or underage marriage or forced marriage or FGM? No one wants to hear about it. It's like, shut up, stop talking about it. So these women are literally fighting to keep their lives, to try prevent FGM from happening. But when there was a video that I watched on YouTube where the UN is interviewing women, and they said that they're dealing with the rape crisis in the camps in Somalia. People who have been displaced, people who have refugee camps, yes. And I understand Somali from top to bottom, okay? I understand Somali. And I can speak it very well. So this woman was being interviewed, and what she was saying was not what they were translating.
Yeah.
And it pissed me off.
Yeah.
I'm like, how could you do that? She was actually complaining about them. But they put it over, yeah, we get raped, you know, every 2 days, and, you know, it's horrendous, and we're terrified. I'm like, why are you lying? Do you think that we're dumb? Like, I understand.
Yeah. That just goes to show the level of corruption that we're fighting against. Because, yeah, you said there, like, do you think we're dumb? But the thing is, you know, if that's put on the BBC News or whatever news channel in the UK, I don't know what the Somali population is in the UK, but I imagine it's
big.
Yeah,
It's
but in the grand scheme of things, the Somalis that are watching that, there aren't going to be many Somalis who are annoyed like you. It's going to be like older middle-aged women who, like said, they're like kind of proud of what they're from and where they're from, and they're going to like downplay it. Oh, it's not that bad. And then the English people are watching it. I mean, we don't speak Somali, so we're never going to understand. So,
100%.
yeah,
But no, that I just felt like that was just, it shocked me, I'm not gonna lie. But then now that I'm in the field that I am, I do a lot of public speaking. I work with Met Police in training officers on not only what FGM is, because everyone kind of knows what it is as a practice. To be honest, on TikTok, not a lot of people knew. One of my videos went viral, and majority of the comment section was like, what the fuck? What is this? This happens? Why are you lying? And people, it's hard to believe. But I found that in the UK, being a survivor, they fight more against the practice so they put so much money into organizations and charities to try help stop FGM. But you're not helping the survivors who have to live with these complications. For example, the only thing available to survivors of FGM currently under the NHS is defibrillation, which is not cleaning your nerves, the damaged nerves, not dealing with the possible nerve damage. It's just literally just open you up until, you know, where you can see the urine hole, and the rest stays closed. There's no reassignment surgery. There's no surgery to help deal with the nerve damage. There's not a lot, and it baffles me because, again, you're focused on the practice, but you're not focused on the survivors. And I feel like they are being neglected.
Yeah.
And I know that they are being neglected. I have seen it. And it's really, really scary. Like, we want to fight against it. I think most women my age or younger than me would fight against FGM, would never subject it to their children. But there are some who, because they have not received any healthcare, any support, whether it's mental, physical, emotional, they have never had any support. And they're being told, this is barbaric, why do you guys do this? This is bad. You know, they just having negatives being thrown at them as if we're all barbaric and dumb and ignorant and uneducated and not deserving of the same services that is available to everybody else.
Yeah.
I feel like women everywhere kind of struggle a little bit.
I mean, I don't necessarily want to dive deep into the politics of it, but, you know, you got, you know, this country, I feel like this country as a whole is more concerned about, like, which latest pop star is going through, like, an identity crisis, doesn't know if he's a man or a woman or something. And we've got real issues like this that are on our shores. And actually, I could probably hold my hand up and say I'm a bit guilty of not focusing so much on FGM in the UK. I have kind of positioned myself out in Africa and where it's happening at a much higher rate.
Yep.
But on reflection, I think I should be doing more about it here. It's a difficult one here because it's done in such, like, secrecy, isn't it?
Yeah.
and it's not that this matters, but it's not English families doing it or European. It's really just like
Specific,
yeah,
certain communities that practice this here.
yeah. Is it true that, for example, I don't know why this would happen, but is it true that a family, for example, would come from Somalia, or they would send their daughter from Somalia to England to have FGM done by like a private doctor who will do a really good job, and then she goes back?
Well, technically, labiaplasty is FGM. It's cutting the clitoris. That's type 1 and 2.
Right, yeah.
So they can't do it under medical supervision as long as they're over the age of 18. So they can be coerced.
Over the age of 18.
As long as they're over the age of 18. Here you can, as long as they're over the age of 18, yeah. So under
Right.
the age of 18, unless they complain about, I don't know, the people use mental health now to get surgeries that they're not necessarily ready for. You know, if you're struggling mentally and you're going through a surgery that is going to, I don't know who spoke to you prior to you making that decision. So take FGM, for example. If a young girl lived in a community where everyone practiced it, all her friends had it done, and she felt out of place, or she was being called out for, having a clitoris, then what is that? Isn't that, the girl will end up thinking, okay, maybe I might consider it, and then she has her parents. If she, for example, asked her mom, do you think I should do this? Her mom would be like, yeah, of course, do it. There are 14-year-old girls, British-born citizens who have FGM. And majority have been taken out. And because it's only type 1 and type 2, it's not as visible. It's not type 3. As long as it's not type 3, you can get away with it.
Wow.
You could just take your child back, let them abandon school. There's no... It's called... For us, we call it... it's not necessarily Dakan Ellis. Dakan Ellis isn't the only reason, they take a child from here to be recultured back home. Because, I don't know, they're acting up, or the parents are, concerned, or whatever the reasoning is. And they either experience forced marriage, underage marriage, being brutally beaten in an institution that is designed to reculture westernized children. So these are Canadian, American, European, UK kids. And they are being beaten, drugged, chained, their hands and feet chained together in a country where they know nothing. They know nothing. And their passport taken away. They don't have a choice. So if you're allowing a 16-year-old, 15-year-old to leave the country, which is absolutely fine, you can do that. But for 3 years, 4 years, where's the school? In this country, education is a big thing. You can't take a 4-year-old or 5-year-old or 6-year-old out of the country, 7, 8, 9, and just, leave with them and then leave them in another country for a long period of time. That is a lean way for FGM to happen.
Yeah.
Because no one is worried. No teachers are doing any safeguarding, whether social workers were involved in that family or not. No one is taking anything serious.
So you met Sadiq Khan, the mayor of
I
London,
did.
recently.
Yeah.
I'm not changing conversation. This is
No, go, yeah.
So,
I told him too.
Good. Well, okay, good. That's what I was about to ask. So, I mean, yeah, tell me about that. And well, first of all, who got in touch with who? Did he reach out to you, or?
His team reached out to me and wanted me to do a campaign, which is FGM Stops Here.
Yeah.
FGM basically doesn't belong in London.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't exist. And it was to kind of encourage other women to also use their voice and say, we've had enough. Not just women, but men as well. There were men partaking in the campaign. We did everyone had to do like a short video, which was combined or done separately. But I think as you've seen from my Instagram, I don't know if you've seen those videos yet, but when the videos and everything was done, they invited everyone to come for a roundtable discussion about FGM. And I was really, really excited because I had a lot to say, especially to have an opportunity to sit down and speak to a man as powerful as the mayor of London. He's not as powerful as the president. I would have loved to have a sit down with him too. My emails are open, by the way. Prime Minister. And
it's funny you mention him because he's actually got his heritage. I know he's Indian, but his grandparents are from Tanzania. So yeah,
it's even in India they practice FGM.
Really?
FGM, yeah.
Oh wow!
It's in India and Pakistan. People were quite surprised, even especially Pakistanis, when I say that it does happen there and Singapore too. Like no one thinks Singapore. Like why would FGM? It is, but they do it to infants and it's done medically.
Wow.
So
continue with your
so
round table.
At the round table we had amazing group of women from different charities, survivors of FGM as well. Some weren't, some were, and we all watched the video together, and then it was like an open discussion. So me being me, I had to say my piece because I was so anxious as well. My anxiety levels were so high being in the room with, I don't know, it just felt like pressured. And I wanted to say the right things so that I know that I got all of my points across. Otherwise, I went there for no reason. And I told him, I expressed that me being a British citizen, this is my home. Somalia is my home. But no, Somalia is my country, my nationality, but this is my home. This is where I built my whole life. I've lived here. And it was really, really sad. I told him this. I said it was really sad to know that I'm suffering currently with my FGM. I have been physically tearing for about a year now, which isn't great. But there's nothing that can be done for me here. So I would have to go to Germany or France or Australia in order to just have my nerves dealt with. I'm not sat here saying I want a whole reconstructive surgery. The idea of reconstructive surgeries terrifies me. And I said, I'm not sat here to tell you that I want a plastic surgery, I'm trying to fix. No, I want to be able to sit in comfort. I want to be able to do day-to-day activities without pain or discomfort. I said that is my right as a human being. And there's nothing for me, not even, they prescribed me a numbing cream. That's the most they could do.
So,
and I expressed this, and I even told him about the Dhaqan Ellis, the reculturing. And I said, you are fighting to end FGM in London, but nobody is, looking at this culture of reculturing young westernized, what is considered westernized children. And I said, this is a pathway to FGM. You can just take your child, and they know that nothing will ever happen to them. And they won't be checked because no teacher is saying, where is your 9-year-old daughter? Why is she not in school? Oh, she's in Somalia. Why? But then when those kids come back, what are those teachers doing?
Yeah.
What are the police doing? What are doctors doing? But funny enough, they don't find out a woman has undergone FGM unless she's in labor or she's pregnant.
I've read stories about midwives delivering babies and seeing a mutilated vagina for the first time. Yeah. So what would you like Sadiq Khan to do, or what did you tell him that you want him to do?
I said that we should be entitled to have a surgery, or even, I'm not asking for a lot. It's not like they don't do it already. Any of these surgeries, it happens here. It just doesn't happen with the women who previously had FGM. They say, it's too complicated, but I'm sorry, if Germany, France, most of Europe is conducting this surgery to help women like me, then if you help me, so for example, I go to the doctors, I asked you for help, but you're only concerned about my previous FGM story. So you're sat there questioning me about, how bad is FGM? Are you gonna do it to your child? You're basically vilifying me, but you're not providing me with a service.
Yeah.
As a survivor, what do you think I'm gonna do? Well, I guess it's not that bad then. So I'm gonna do it to my child.
Yeah.
Because no one is telling you how bad this is. No one is saying, actually, okay, we can fix this. We can help you. Are you having, so women who have severe nerve damage, like myself, there's nothing. So I was unable to sit down, walk, pick anything up for over a year.
When was this?
2022. And every doctor I went to said, no, sorry, nope, no one will touch you here.
So, I'm now gonna talk or ask you questions about
Go for
your
it, of course.
area.
Go for it.
So, FGM was done to you when you were 6,
Yes.
and you maybe you don't want to reveal your age here, but you're
I'm 30 next week, guys. You better say happy birthday.
okay. So you're 29.
Yes.
So in 2022, at the age of 28 or 29, FGM was still having a physical effect on you.
Yeah, it never stopped since the age of 9. Since I got it done, it never stopped. I started tearing when I was 14, and I never stopped. Hence why I never had a defibrillation. I teared by myself majority of my life, including the assault I went through as well. So it was just nothing was ever dealt with.
I'm not going to skip over that. But
Okay.
So you have a daughter.
I have a daughter.
Did she, this probably isn't the right medical term, but did she come out of your vagina or cesarean?
I had a natural birth.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, when I was pushing my child out, do you know, when you're in so much pain, you forget to think logically.
Yeah.
So I panicked because I knew it was coming out my vagina. Because I panicked, I remembered my FGM in that moment. And I said to her, you need to cut me a little bit, because I was so terrified of tearing.
But is that because you had been sewn up?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So you had, at 6 years old, when FGM was done to you,
I was sewn completely shut,
they cut
and left
bits off, and then they
sewed everything together.
Sewed back together. And that, it remained like that right up until you were giving birth?
Nope, right until I was 14. And because the hole that was left was really, really small, and it was meant for period flow, and there's another small one at the top where your urination hole is, just above it they leave a tiny hole as well, so that you're able to urinate. It takes a very long time to do something that's supposed to take a very short period of time. So when I started tearing at first, it was only a tiny bit, and then it was each day, because that wound is not healing. You're urinating every day. There's period every month. I started my period when I was 9.
Yeah.
So it was quite early. So it's constant irritation, shall I say. So when I went back to Somalia, I was forced to get married the moment I turned 18. And the marriage, although wasn't valid Islamically, I was still put into a room with my so-called husband, and I was a virgin. But prior to being put in that room, because I started tearing from the age of 14, I got scared because Al-Shabaab was there. The terrorist organization ruled the small city that I was in. So I got so scared that I went to my auntie, because I thought, if these people marry me off and put me in a room with a man, and he sees that I'm a little bit open, imagine if he thinks that I've had sex before marriage, the reason why they trying to prevent. And I freaked out. So I went to my auntie and I said to her, just so you know, I started to, my mom knows, because I was 17. I was 17. And she was like, oh, okay. But because everyone viewed me as the I was a virgin, but according to them, I wasn't. I was always labeled because I'm loud and I don't know, I'm very talkative and outgoing. They automatically think that you're a hoe
Yeah.
or a slut. So I grew up with that type of language all my life. And I remember visiting a cutter at the age of 17 because I told them that I was tearing. I was taking their legs open and she looked and she was like, can you just let me know if she's a virgin? Because they wanted to really find out. Because they genuinely had a suspicion that I wasn't. So I'm just there confident. And she checked and she explained the same thing the doctor said. It depends. My skin is really sensitive. So she said because the period for so long had nowhere to come out, it kind of like started to tear because it's like dried blood. At some point it dries up. So it started cutting through her skin. So she goes, oh, okay. And then the cutter looked up at me and she goes, do you want me to sew it back up? I said, bitch. I said, no, I didn't say bitch, but I said bitch in my head. I said, no. I said, you confirmed that I'm a virgin, right? Yes, thank you very much. But knowing that that was the case and then being put into a room, not having any sexual experience before that and being completely violated whilst you have FGM. She did say, let me open you up a little bit. I was open by maybe that much. So I was torn open.
God.
I think that's like almost every guy and women's reaction to like, oh my God, especially men.
I mean,
it's hard to hear, it really is. And it was even harder to experience, but it's the reality of so many women when they have, especially type 3 or even type 2 and where you're sewn and you get married off. Some men genuinely believe that it's their rite of passage to ram through a woman who's completely shut. But it's your virginity. My virginity in like outside is inside. And even for some women, that's not the case. Like there's no, what's it called? What is it called?
what?
Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like some women have like a close, I forgot what the term of that is. I'm such a bad woman because I should know. It is part of my body. But it's hymen. Is it hymen?
I've never heard of that before.
But it's basically how they check whether you're a virgin or not.
Right.
But it's not the same. Some women, like they tear it, like they open when they're babies or when they're young or when they grow up. It's not something that's just there throughout their lives. And that's the confirmation of whether they are a virgin or not. For me, that was the case. But that's not the case for some women. So I think because they kind of figured that out, they thought, let's just make sure they are shut for sure. Ugh.
I mean, I wasn't ignoring what you've just said now, but I can't stop thinking about you being in that room and well, I don't want to be too vulgar, but you said it. That guy ramming.
Yeah.
And
It's force, yeah. Brutal.
Sometimes when I've left Africa and I'm here in the UK or I'm wherever else, like in Europe or whatever, or if I'm having conversations with people and they say like, oh, why do you do what you do? I want that clip of what you've just said I want to carry that clip with me everywhere. This has just given me more like fire now. I have a one-way ticket to Argentina in a few weeks, and I'm just going to go to South America for a while. I've always wanted to go there. And my plan was to be there for maybe like 3, 4, 5 months, then go back to Tanzania. But hearing your story now in person, I actually want to like go back to Tanzania as soon as possible. Jesus, I can't. I've heard sad stories, tragic, traumatizing stories before, face to face, many times. But God, this one has really touched me.
It is. It is. I think that's the reaction that I get from most people, to be honest, when they've heard my story. But the reason why I tell it the way I tell it is because I need everyone to understand the reality of this situation, because it's not as easy as, oh, she had FGM, but she would, it's just because of the complication. No, it affects from the moment we get it done to the moment we die. It has an effect on us.
Yeah, I'm just imagining, like, if my mum was sat here now, I'm sure she'd be crying just hearing your story. When I go like live on TikTok and stuff, people always say to me, "Oh, come to Somalia, come to Somalia," and
I think you should. I think you should. One day.
Well,
they would love you.
Well, some people would love me, but then, like you said, the amount of social activists that have been killed in Somalia. So I think
it tends to be okay.
I think the majority wouldn't love me, and they'd actually want to kill me. So
I don't think it's the majority. I think it's just one person. Is not like the whole town or the country like says, oh, let's kill this person. It's only one person that's usually pissed off enough to carry out a crime like that.
Right. Yeah.
And even that one person is a massive risk to me. Like, I would love to live and see the development of, finally having to bring an end to such a horrible practice that not only destroyed my life, but has destroyed 200 million women and counting.
That's just who's alive today.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah. I'd love to go to Somalia. And I'm not ignoring Somalia, but the thing is, for me to go to Somalia,
it's a safety thing, bro. Your safety comes first. Let me tell you, in any country you go to.
For me to tackle FGM in Somalia, I would need an army behind me. I'm not talking about 1,000 soldier army. I mean, I'd need a security team. Yeah. And I don't know how doable that is. I don't have enough money right now.
It is very doable, but it's having the right connections as well. There are actually two amazing women who I completely look up to, who work within Somalia. So one is the Elman Peace. I'm guessing is a foundation. And the other one is Ifrah Foundation. Ifrah works more on FGM and educating the wider community, especially in the Mogadishu area and beyond that. Where Elman Peace Foundation is more focused on youths and empowering girls and boys and making sure that our youths don't grow up to be, messed up.
Yeah.
Train them from young. So I think if you have the right connections, not just in Somalia, but throughout Africa, I think you would have a very successful career. You have more guts than I do. I'm not going to lie to you. Because I can't imagine. That. I want to know more about Tanzania. Tell me, please.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I've got more guts than you. Because I think we maybe show our bravery. I'll use that word instead of guts, but in different ways, I think the amount of courage and bravery it takes for you to sit here and sit everywhere you do and talk as openly as you do about FGM and your experience is remarkable and takes a lot of strength and courage. But
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.
But I mean, Tanzania, ask away.
I want to know, is there like a rich, I'm guessing there is a rich culture everywhere in Africa, but I don't know. I want to know, are there what did you do? What was most memorable moment for you?
The most memorable, the best part of my time out in Tanzania was simply just sitting with the girls and some of the staff at the safe house under the amazing starry night sky, just telling stories.
I love that.
Not necessarily their personal stories running away from FGM or child marriage, but just telling stories. In Swahili, you just say Jessie Piga story. It just means Jessie tell a story.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were the best times.
From what I've seen, the kids love you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there's a great video that's like pinned on my Instagram and TikTok profile where I'm in a car and I was only away for the girls for like 2 days, and I open the car, it's blacked out windows, and I open the car door and all the girls just come running at me, and yeah, so that's actually probably my most memorable moment.
It's like having a protector.
Yeah.
And I think when we, especially me, for me, protector, yes, is a mother, but it's more like my father. I used to want him to protect me. I used to want him or my brother or my husband, like whoever, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like it has more of an influence when men are involved.
Yeah, definitely. There's no, look, and I said earlier, I don't want to get into the politics of it, but all this kind of gender equality talk, the reality is men and women are very different. And generally speaking, men are much stronger than women. And
Boy, you're sat here next to me.
generally speaking, you know, if we were to put the top woman boxer against the top male boxer, you know what I mean? So
No, I agree in terms of strength, yes, and responsibility as well.
Yeah, so without doubt, you know, I'm really not trying to blow my own trumpet, but without doubt, the girls definitely see me as a protector because a lot of the girls at the safe house, so FGM isn't the only thing that they're there for. A lot of the girls really sadly have been raped by their dads. It's I was just about to say it's really common. It's not really common in Tanzania, but with this particular tribe and this area, I'm not saying all Korea people do this, but it was like uncomfortably common to receive girls who have been raped by their dads or stepdads or brothers or something like that. So the men that are supposed to be the protectors for them really turn out to be the monsters. So then when someone like myself comes along and they see me like in action, or I'm like chasing a guy away, or I'm like beating someone up outside, like there's no doubt they see it like in a really positive way.
At least you show them what a man is meant to do.
You
know, that they don't grow up just thinking that that's, you know, the trauma that they went through. You know, all men are like that, because it's not all men. And I have always said that when I talk about men in a negative light, is not I'm not generalizing all men. I'm talking about the toxic ones. But I'm not gonna sit here every day and be like, no, but today I'm gonna address the toxic men. Okay, don't attack me. But like you know, if your father is a good man or you're a good man and you're, you know, comfortable and confident with who you are, then you're not going to have a problem me telling you that there, you know, for example, sexual assault, in most cases, it's a family member, someone you know. It is actually rarely done by a complete stranger. That's how scary it is. And this is why yesterday's episode was so important to me. Like the previous episode I did with my little girl. It was so important for me for her to know that her body is hers. Not anybody else on this planet can tell her what to do with it, how to do with it. Just yours is yours.
We tell the girls the same thing at the safe house, and they receive the message well, and it's such a big problem out there. Like, but a bigger problem is like the general attitude towards it. And I'm going to tell you something.
Don't talk about it.
No, I'm going to tell you something that will like
piss me off.
Yeah.
Go for it.
One of the father rape cases at the safe house. So he's got 3 young daughters.
Don't.
Yeah. So they're now 8, 11 and like 15, but they were 4, 7, and so they were young, and the dad was for sure raping the 2 older ones, and the younger one, who was 4, her name's Nema, We don't know if he was raping her. She doesn't know if she was being raped or not. But my guess is she was. But even if she wasn't raped, she was beaten up.
Be prepared.
Yeah, but she was beaten up so badly by her dad. She's got a huge scar on her head. And she was in the hospital literally like almost dead. But thankfully the doctors saved her, really. And all 3 girls are at the safe house now. But that dad, the police arrested him, and he paid the police.
Of course he did.
100,000 shillings, Tanzanian shillings, which is the equivalent of £30, 30. He paid the Tanzanian police £30 to walk free.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so...
It just shows how much a girl's life is just not as valuable to some. It just...
So those young girls, their lives are... I mean, we try and be positive about it, but their lives were completely destroyed by their dad. Then the one person that should be protecting them. Then the other organization that should be protecting them, the police. You know, the girls don't know this. The girls don't know, but they're completely going against the girls and going behind their back, and doing them the biggest misjustice. Yeah. So that's the scale of the problem, you know.
What do you think we should do? Yes, talking about it is also great. I'm starting my own organization soon. It's called Garden of Peace.
I've seen on your Instagram.
Yes. And I chose Garden of Peace because I feel like in any space that you are in, you should always have a sense of peace. And if you don't, then I want to show you that maybe that's not the place for you, you know? And I want people to be able to, because when I was traumatized, I'm not anymore. I think a lot of people say to me, how did you get over all of this? I forgave, not forgive them for what they have done to me, but I let it go. I forgave. I forgave. And I left it to God. I'm a big believer of God, okay? And I left it to him. He will judge them as he sees fit. It is no longer my issue.
We've got a huge task on our hands.
It is. It's massive.
You know, I don't know who, the UN or the WHO, World Health Organization. I've seen them kind of throw these predictions around, like, by the year 2030, FGM will be eliminated. And I'm not being pessimistic here. I just think it's not.
Do you know what? I think I'm quite like that. Like, I think, but it's hopeful thinking for me. Yeah, like, I want it to end soon, but that's not the reality.
It's not. And it gives a false sense of hope to people suffering from it. 2, it also gives a false sense of hope to the people back home watching.
I actually never thought about that.
Yeah, because they're thinking, oh, right, the UN have said this is going to be finished by 2030.
Yeah, don't always
I'm going to focus my energy now towards, global warming rather than FGM. And I don't, you know, anyone watching this, I don't want environmentalists to then
tell them,
have a go at me.
This is your chance.
Well, no, I mean,
close up.
It was just an example of the damage I think, like, these organizations can do by saying something like that. Because, like I said earlier, in all my time, the years I've spent in these areas, in the rural villages, I have not seen one UN member or one member of the WHO or one government body who's not from the country that I'm from. The country that I'm in.
Yeah.
You know, I've been to places that, you know, Vice, the YouTube channel. I've been to places that Vice don't even have on their radar. You know, I've spoken to, like, village leaders and things that, you know, governments don't even know about.
Yeah.
And they're sat there in their office in Brussels saying, oh, by the year 2030 or whatever, 2035, FGM is going to be abolished. It's not. And it fucking will be if we all came together and we all started, like,
men and women.
Yeah, from all over the world. But that's not the case. So
Yeah.
we need to be realistic about it.
So what is your message to everyone out there?
My message would, off the top of my head, would simply be, there are loads of issues going on in the world right now, and everybody picks their fight. And I, since childhood, have just had this love and affinity with Africa that I can't explain. And things are popping up all the time. And a great example is the awful earthquake in Turkey and Syria.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, that's getting loads of media attention. But, you know, FGM and child marriage is an incredibly pressing issue.
Yeah.
And I want people to stop having the mindset of out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, like, most adults in the UK have heard about it. Some way or another. Maybe they heard about it in a movie or whatever, social media. I just want people to stop ignoring it.
Yeah.
And not everyone is going to go and get on a flight to Tanzania and kick doors down like I do, but people can share things, share posts and
Support those who are fighting too,
support and sharing is such a powerful tool. You never know who's following who. You know, a simple share from Jenny down the block.
Yeah. It's not going to hurt you, is it?
Yeah, but you never know who's going to see that. Maybe it's going to be like some government official who's best friends with Rishi Sunak, and so yeah, my message is like, wake up, guys. There are so many young girls. Everyone has a sister or a niece or a mother. We all came into this world from a mother. So like it shouldn't need somebody to have a young niece or sister to care.
Yeah.
But if that is what is going to trigger you to care, then that's what I'll say. Do something about it, guys. Like, support people like myself, support people like Shamsa and others as well, like Hebo Warder. She's written a book called Cut. She's a Somali lady in the UK. Ayan Hirsi Ali, she's in America.
You need to get to know Hoda Ali as well. She's absolutely incredible. And Leila Hussein. They are all Somali women and they do amazing work. And I'm honestly honored to have them as like a guide. They do amazing work, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very long message, but
I know, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I think it was perfect. But thank you so much for coming, Jessie. It was absolutely amazing having you here and hearing about your journey, which I will be following most definitely. And I hope that I get to one day go to all the amazing places that you're going to and do
welcome.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
I would actually love to. I think you got me thinking about possibly going to Africa. So you've inspired me for sure.
Amazing. I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you so much for having me on. It's like a real honor meeting you. And the girls in Tanzania would love you, the girls at the Safe House.
Love them.
And they learn so much from your experience. And we could really use you
I think I might make a trip then.
Well, yeah, in the villages, educating the people about your experience and the effects of FGM and how you're still feeling the effects of it now. So you are so welcome to come to Tanzania.
I think Singapore will have to just wait then, because I really want to go to a country where I know that I can make a difference. I know I can make a difference in Singapore too, because it happens there. But when a black girl sees a black woman fighting, and they're not necessarily from that country, I think it does something else. Because where the women I look up to, they're just incredible, you know? And I listen and I take in. So I hope that I have that effect on them.
Okay, 100% you are coming to Tanzania this year.
I'm excited. You hear that, guys? And I'll take y'all with me so we can show you all the amazing things.
Yeah.
But thank you so much again. Can't thank you enough. This was more than a pleasure.
It was brilliant. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys all for watching as well. Please don't forget to, as you know, I will have amazing guests from this point forward, from all around the world who have amazing views and ideas. And I can't wait for you to see them all and meet them and hear about their experiences and stories. Please don't forget to subscribe and tap that, what's it called, notification? I forget that all the time, you know.
I don't do that, but yeah, notifications
But
on.
subscribe, okay? And follow not only my story, but also Jesse's story. Follow him around the world so he can show you all the amazing things going on. Take care, guys. Have a great day. Bye.